Neutral, punish, recovery are the three ingredients which create Melee. Neutral is the idea that things are constantly in motion and nothing has happened yet. In neutral, you have to be constantly moving, looking for an opening and looking for an opportunity to embark on things, but also making sure you don't fall into a bad habit. But you can't sit still. Punish is you seizing an opportunity in front of you and you wanting to make the absolute most out of it. Those opportunities only present themselves so many times. During the neutral, you make a mistake and someone else is trying to get advantage at your expense. Recovery is you getting back to that neutral. It's you getting out of a bad situation and you using your experience and your foresight to make sure it doesn't happen again. You are always given obstacles and challenges whenever you're trying to get very good at something or succeed beyond other people. You can't gauge how much expertise you gain at something without something to hold you down or be held against you. You need to surpass certain peaks and challenges to see where you're at, and you gotta compare yourself to what you were beforehand. Leveling up is being able to overcome things that you once weren't able to overcome.
Are you kidding me? Team Liquid are your North American LCS Spring Split champions.
Team Liquid have been dominant in every single esport.
TL's the best team in North America.
GG! Liquid has done it!
Your next grand finalist, it's Team Liquid!
This is Level Up, driven by Honda.
Juan was very hyper when he was 2, 3, 4, 5 years old, in a way that he could stay still. Hyper was, to me, a bad thing, but the hyperness he had, it was a hyperness, different hyper. He was curious, he was talkative, he wanted to learn, he wanted to explore things. I knew that I had to incentivize that kind of passion. We used to buy little games, King Kong, Ding Kong, whatever the name is. That's when I saw, for the first time, the passion about games.
Life for me as a kid, especially when I moved to Orlando, you walk outside of the house and you get on your bike and you go around the neighborhood and go find your friends. Plan was always like, all right, I'm gonna stay over at a friend's house or someone's gonna stay over here. We're gonna stay up all night playing video games. That was always a plan. That's like the most fun I had. And we'd always try to like finagle it. I'd be like, okay, well, if you call my house and my mom picks up and you ask her, then she can't say no because she's gonna be nice to you.
I heard about Melee when he was in middle school, and because I didn't have a very good relationship with his biological father, he used to lock himself up and playing with friends. He started being much more confident, more social. I encouraged him more and more to do that because I saw how happy that made him.
I really, really enjoyed being with people. I hated being alone. I hated being by myself. When you're hanging out with friends there, it's kind of like an experience where you sort of build like a bond that lasts for a much longer time. And video games were sort of the medium that surrounded that. They say, let's settle it in Smash, like the Nintendo trademark, but that's really how we thought when we were kids back then. Whenever we had a dispute or a feud, or we were trash talking each other, we'll just say, yeah, I'll mess you up in Smash.
My first experience seeing a tournament was here in Orlando.
Extreme Play, free-for-all tournament at a mall.
When you opened that door, it was a huge smell and of men playing, young boys.
I got tag teamed round 2 and I lost, single elimination. Crunch outplaced me. I was so angry the whole day. I don't call that a tournament. I call that a tease. Most people would have quit right there. Can you imagine if that was if that's what it was? But part of me was like, no, this was not a real tournament. I want to go to a legit tournament. And then we found Gigabits. Gigabits was truly my first experience into the world of competitive Melee. 60-man monthlies featuring the best talent in the state, sometimes Georgia, all of South Florida's best players, all of Orlando's best players, and man, I was a fish in a sea of sharks. They were so good. And I remember I would just be stunned. I would be like, how am I losing this hard? I just remember playing a lot of Melee and getting really competitive and being really angry whenever I lost, to the point where I kept wanting to win harder and harder. I would rage, I would get salty. I kicked a hole in my wall twice. I was way so emotionally invested into the game and winning.
When he lost the first time, he changed completely. He was devastated. He took it so personally. How can this boy be in this hobby when he loses, and it's going to be so difficult for him to continue? But there is something about him that the next day he said, okay, I'm going to win the next time.
For some reason with Melee, when I lost, the first thing I said was like, I need to borrow like $50 more from my mom because I have to go to this next tournament next week. Somehow part of me knew that I could be better. The things that I lost to in Melee and the reasons that I lost, I knew were things that I was aware of and I could overcome it next time. So I did that. I went to Gigabits and then all the locals in Orlando and Central Florida. It'll be the whole crew called Watto, What Are the Odds? That crew is probably the reason why I actually got good at Melee, because they had like one of each character. By the time I got in, I was like the third or fourth worst, but I quickly improved the fastest out of anyone.
Competition for me is a very good way to improve yourself. Improving your skills, improving your reasoning, it makes you find during the crisis that you're gonna be something better. When you compete, you express all those things that you didn't know you had.
It was more of a weird experience to finally place in the money, to finally get out of pools. That's how I got the name Hungrybox, because I would enter as new tags like Juan the Fatty or Juan or just Fat Chicken, just stupid tags. I entered as it, and that's the first time I made it out of pools. It was 9-man pools, top 2 make it out, round robin. It was a death pool because they didn't have enough setups. And I got 2nd place, and that's what really started Hungrybox for me. I think at that point I realized I was good under pressure. Unlike a lot of other people, the pressure actually made me do smarter decisions. I would play the same person in a friendly and just get destroyed, but in tournament, I would beat them like 3 stocks. There was never any official ranking, but when I started placing top 3 at the Florida locals, it was definitely, people started talking about it more often. Florida was a really good region, and to me, to be already beating players who were considered good, that was very powerful. But after Genesis happened, Genesis 1, I got 3rd place there, behind Mango and Armada, beating everyone else. And that's when officially it started. I was officially top 10 in the world right then and there. And I was the de facto Puff for the time being, behind Mango, of course, who was also playing Puff. I kept placing in the podium, if you will, constantly. And I was finally traveling, flying to events. And then I realized I can go to any tournament in the world and probably do really, really well. I started my pursuit for #1 when I was 14 years old. Yeah. When we were downloading the videos of Ken versus BC Chris, and I said, I'm gonna beat them.
Now let's check out what it's like to be a pro gamer.
I started placing every tournament I went to. I would go to Revival of Melee and get 7th or 9th. I would go to Tipped Off, the tournament series in Georgia, and win those events, you know? I would go to CEO and win that event. I was winning nationals. And I won Apex 2010, and I beat Armada, I beat everyone else there. I won that tournament, and I was like, holy crap, I could actually be the best in the world. Evan, what are you doing in this tournament? But there was the one person that would really always stop me from doing that was always Mango. The same time I won Apex 2010, Mango pulled me aside and asked me if I wanted to money match, and he beat me in 3 money matches in a row, best of 5.
Mango. So disrespectful, Mango, that's disrespectful to everyone. To Hungrybox, to me, to you, that was just disrespectful.
I hated the idea that I was so close to greatness, but there was always one person there who was beating me and always had my number, and our record was completely lopsided.
I've known Juan a very long time, since we were in 5th grade. Me and Juan kind of like diverged in terms of like our paths in life, and we ended up going to different high schools that did a magnet program. After I graduated from college, he was kind of in a rough spot. Like he was getting pretty soundly beat by like Mango and Armada and Leffen, and he's just like, I don't know if Puff can do it. And I'm like, well, I've been playing you since we were like 10, so I see a lot of the flaws in your gameplay. Let me just help you out. Being good friends with him is part of what makes me so effective at coaching him, because a lot of the times it's stuff that's outside of the tournament that's really affecting his play. You know, if he's dealing with something with life, like, you know, like whatever other outside life issue, a lot of the times it's having someone to talk through it with you, like get you back in a good headspace. Sometimes like having a good time when we're not competing can just kind of create a positive mindset and helps them compete better.
The big turning point really came in, I think, EVO 2015, when I did the controversial ledge tactic. I realized that there is a way to beat not only Mango, but everyone. Not really ledge tactic, obviously, but there's counterplay styles to everyone. There's counterplay to someone who's extremely aggressive. There's counterplay to someone who's a wall like you. You need to actually shift the way you approach the game dramatically based upon who you're playing. Like, you see me picking Puff on the character select screen, but I'm really picking one of 10 Puffs that I have, and that's based upon who I'm playing. So once I got there, I mean, I knew my goal was nothing else was left. Number one, I had to be the best.
I think that is it. Congratulations to Hungrybox. Oh, rest. It's over.
He's having trouble wrapping this up.
That's a rest.
That's a rest.
What a reset. What a rest. H-Box coming out on top.
Tournament winner.
Anyone that knows Juan knows that Juan is like a very like emotional, bombastic person. He's just very expressive. When he laughs hard. When he's angry. Like, he's just a very emotional person. I have a hard time imagining him like having a really, really close set and just being like, cool.
Oh! And that's a rest, and that is it. Hungrybox is your CEO 2017 champion.
That's it.
Oh,
He gets the read, and he gets the and H-Box. What? How is he so clutch?
I don't know.
I never felt like I was number one until I beat Armada at Summit 5. Even when I won EVO 2016, I still knew he had a better record on me and better records. Even when I gained like the world champ title, I knew it wasn't truly number one. Even as I was chasing it, I said to myself, the only way I can be number one is if I truly have a winning record on everyone else here in the world. People can speculate and say, well, what about this? If you look at these things, I wanted to ruin the mathematics for them. I wanted to say, no matter what you plug into your algorithm, my name will be on top every single time. Only then was I gonna accept number one. And that's what the end of 2017 was. It was the crazy GTX Summit, Big House, that entire crazy streak that happened, because there it was undisputable. And that's when I finally accepted it. That's why I think I won that tournament, started getting teary-eyed and crying. Not because it was just like another tournament, it was because I finally hit my goal after being that kid downloading MLG footage when I was 13 years old. Like, that took that long, and it was just like a... You probably see at the end of the Big House when I won, and then I turned around and I just saw like an audience just slowly like going away, and that's kind of when it all settled in, and I understood like what my role finally was, and the bet I've made for myself, if you will. When you attempt to cut corners to reach the same heights and move the same mountains that giants before you have moved, you're gonna get people pecking at your shoulders.
Very much in M2K's favor right now, but the side B not going to sweet spot it, and he's going to die for it. Last stock, game 5, once again.
0% on both players.
M2K is playing with fire right now.
Oh my God, is that it? Jason Zimmerman has beaten H-Box.
Has taken out the #1 player in the world.
Animosity towards me, even when I started getting good, it was kind of low, just like, oh, you know, Puff, but this kid seems kind of good. But then when I got really good, like top 5, that's when like the animosity started getting really, really high, because it was no longer just like, he's really good. It's just like, man, this guy for winning so often in the way he does. You become numb to it after a while. But when you're young, it's just scathing. It cuts so deep into you. I've like supremely hated myself for so long. I would cringe so hard, watch myself on the camera, or the things I would say, or just how I was. It's like I'm a different person when I'm put in the spotlight or something. I'm like this. I don't know what I become, but it's just I had to learn that. I'm just like, why am I doing that? Why do I feel this need to act or behave a certain way? Just like be yourself. Stop being this giant-headed, egotistical. Just be Juan. Stop. The part where it got like the worst was, I think it was people showing their true colors when I was going through a moment of crisis. The SmashCon watch incident comes to mind a lot. I've never been so like just lopsidedly people were against. Like they had this huge like platform for me to be this like end all be all hated demon. And I just saw it from everyone, from all the people who I thought were my friends to who like were my acquaintances, like all just kind of dogpiling it. That was really like crappy. Like I didn't understand it, nor was I trying to understand it. I was already looking up like job listings for tech in the airport. Yeah. But the thing was, I knew they could do better. I knew I could do better. I knew we all could do better collectively as a community than that. And that's why I'm happy to be here now. It's like I've gotten past the worst of it, and I'm in this new era of people where people have sort of taken everything that I am at face value, both good and bad, and made their own judgments. And for the most part, it seems that they've almost decided that like there's always more to someone than what you see, including themselves. A lot of the times, the opinions that people make about you and the way they see you are just, they get a small taste of something and then they form an opinion off that, but they don't actually get to sit down with you and meet you. They don't get to be reminded like, oh wait, this person is a human just like me. This person is able to do wonderful things, to make mistakes, to do everything that I also do, right? You have to know everyone makes mistakes and everyone inherently wants the best for each other. We don't want to live in a world where everyone's just attacking one another and going for the jugular at all points. After a while, I realized how stupid it is to just judge people. That's the way I see it, because you know we're sort of plopped here, and you just gotta kind of figure it out. So we all have our own pace at that, and we all like are different in how we approach that. There's good in you and there's talent in you, and if stuff's not going your way, it's either because life handed you an unfair hand, or you haven't recognized that talent in yourself too. You're your own biggest supporter. You're your own biggest fan. And the moment you give up, why is anyone else going to help you?
Hungrybox, he had such momentum going. He was cooking.
He was cooking.
But when you miss something like that, it just changes the cards. It changes the flow of the game.
Yeah. Oh, that's going to do it.
Hungrybox was going for a force match. I've seen that force match delete so many boxes in my time total.
Stumble upwards, right? That's what you got to do. Stumble upwards. Maybe I will never be considered the best because of just the way I approach Melee. Maybe my record isn't as defined or solid as Armada's was, and maybe he's done something that no one else will ever replace. That's okay too, but eventually, with enough time, those planks of wood start breaking, those bricks start eroding a little bit. Eventually, over time, and you might have to ask the question, how much longer does one have to win for this to be a consideration, right? When you're rank 1 at something and you're the target, why would you quit? It's too much fun. It's too much fun, dude. I want to do something that no one else has done or will be able to do ever again. I'm gonna play the brackets the way that I'm usually good at, which is going with crunch, sitting down, analyzing the bracket, and knowing what we can do better or we haven't done as good as last time. And right now, at this point, anyone in the top 10 can beat me. So I need to double down and play twice as hard and analyze things twice as hard. I can't let my mentality get in the way. My mentality is the biggest obstacle for me winning or losing a tournament at this point. And as long as I don't tilt and I'm calm and I'm happy, no one can beat me.